Thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. And this is The Principle of Attunement by author B. Bell, F.R.C. An article from Rosicrucian Digest, Volume 10, Number 1, February 1932. The Principle of Attunement by Dr. Arthur B. Bell, F.R.C. Among the principles which we deal extensively in our lectures and discussions, one which offers a most interesting subject for consideration is that of attunement. A clear and accurate concept of its meaning, purpose, and requirements is of the greatest possible importance, for it is a fundamental or basic factor in working out many of our experiments and in adjusting ourselves to the many laws and principles in which we are deeply interested. If we are unable to attain success in our experiments, we may be sure that we are not in attunement with principles through which the desired results may be reached. This may mean one of two things, or possibly both. First, that our understanding of the laws themselves is faulty. Second, we may not have reached that state or stage of development necessary to the full and proper application of the factors which the laws require of us. It should be perfectly clear to all that the novice may not expect to accomplish at once that which it has required many weeks, months, or even years of patience, painstaking study, and practice on the part of another. In this statement, we have a partial glimpse of the meaning of attunement, for it will be seen that the prime requisites involved are careful study, patient practice, and actual application, all of which comprehends preparation. In this manner, we are truly perfecting within our own consciousness the various phases of attunement. The purpose of study is, of course, to gain understanding. We are well aware, however, that understanding is of little value unless it be put into effort and made a part of our daily lives, wherein we find ourselves making definite application of the conditions which are part and parcel of the understanding thus gained. For this is but an essential part of the rules of procedure which must be followed. We may find it a very simple matter to succeed in conducting the experiment with the match in a bowl of water, and yet when we come to deal with the subject of projection, we may fail dismally, although we have tried faithfully and over some period of time. This simply means that we are not attuned with the requirements of the law whereby the gaining of the desired results is possible. We may not say that the law does not always respond when properly actuated, but it does mean that the student does not yet fully understand the important and vital preparation imperative to the rising of the level of the consciousness to that state or standard required by the law itself. It should ever be borne in mind that the spiritual realm is above the material, and that the laws which operate and prevail in both have their own special and distinct requirements, and will not and cannot respond unless these demands are met with exactness and completeness. Neither should it be overlooked that as we approach the spiritual, we are leaving behind the material, even though they dwell one within the other, even as do light and darkness. This means that no formula, system, or method will avail anything unless the consciousness is evolved to a point where it agrees in motive and intent with each, and every element or phase of the law to be actuated. Here again appears the factor of attunement. The weekly lessons carry the student on from point to point slowly, but carefully, with this very condition uppermost in mind. The rising of the consciousness cannot be accomplished by the mere reading of the valuable and carefully prepared instructions which reach us weekly. We may even commit them to memory so that they may be repeated verbatim, and yet avail us nothing, for in this manner we have but added to our fund of knowledge, unless it should be that we have begun to put these instructions to work by making them part of our daily lives. In other words, knowledge is of little practical value unless it is used, applied in dealing with the problems and conditions which arise and affect us in many and varying ways. It is often stated that thought creates. How much consideration have you given this statement? Just what does it mean to you, and what use are you making of this principle? If thought is created, then thoughts become things or conditions. Yes, even our most serious and distressing problems evolve from the matrix of our thoughts. Surely we cannot think that because thoughts objectify themselves that the principle of choosing our thoughts is only useful in times of urgent need and stress when entering into the approved attitude or state of devotion to the demands of a given law, that we may suddenly set aside or overcome all of the difficulties and problems which we perceive are affecting us. It is a far more serious matter than this, and the chances are that if we have not recognized the facts which appertain in the process of consciously choosing and directing our thoughts daily and hourly, we will make a flat failure of our attempt at sudden readjustment. Certainly we are aware that when the mind is permitted to become filled with hatred, resentment, anger, fear, jealousy, ill will, and many similar qualities of thought, that we are actually creating conditions of a wholly destructive nature which will be in complete harmony with the mental concepts from which they emanate and will objectify themselves in or upon our bodies or within our environment, after we have thoughtlessly or willfully given ourselves over to such dissipation. We need not be at all surprised if the process of setting them aside resists us unless we reach a determination to cease entertaining more profitable qualities of thought, which are unchanging in their dissemination of good. When we hold to that which is in opposition to our own welfare and that of all others, we are not attuning with spiritual law, but detuning, drifting further and further away from the changeless attitudes of God which flow forth endlessly in a unity of goodness, love, and mercy. We cannot devote ourselves to the bearing of false witness, that is, in speaking or thinking, unkindly, unfair, unjustly, or selfishly, and hope to attune ourselves with higher spiritual laws. In fact, such a course precludes it. We need not think that a sinful, mortal consciousness can break through and enter into these states of attunement which require unfeigned love and goodness, for this cannot be. The doors are closed and bolted and may not be taken by storm, persuasion, or deception. Yet do they yield to the gentle touch of purity, meekness, love, grace, and goodness. The consciousness is comparable to a measuring stick upon which many degrees are recorded. As we subdue, set aside, and overcome the many unprofitable phases of our material existence and expression, we advance towards the cherished goal, and our own whole being responds to the challenge thus effected. It is well to remember that even though evil is subdued and rendered somewhat inactive, that we have not destroyed it or cast it from us, never to return. We dwell continually within both good and evil, to whichever we adhere. By that we are dominated. Only our Heavenly Father can separate these qualities. And when this shall be done, no man knoweth. Attunement with the divine is, therefore, a matter of eternal striving, through an earnest, persistent effort to live daily and hourly within the ideals, the laws and principles we wish to express and actuate. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating towards the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.